Letters to a Friend by Jonas Mears. Chapter 1. Magic school wasn't what I'd expected. It's wonderful. Don't get me wrong, but also different. Just different. I don't know what I thought it would be like, really. And a lot of it is just that. I think what it is that to dream of magic school is to dream of going and exploring, or imagining yourself doing those things and the excitement of it. And what will the dorm look like? And what will the food and students be like? So caught in the moment. And to imagine yourself in the new place and new situation, and going to classes and it's all so new and exciting, and it was. It is. But also that now I need more, maybe? I feel relief in saying that. As if it's okay to say that and to feel that. But why would I ever think it's not okay? Being here is a dream. No other way to describe it. Sure, there's the strict teacher, and that one that never seems to like me. For reasons I won't know. Nothing is ever perfect, but that doesn't mean it isn't a dream. Just that right now I'm feeling sad, perhaps. Nervous about what's to come. And it's entirely silly because I still have one more year left here. It's not even time to be adjusting. But I guess it is reasonable. It's reasonable to feel fear. It's okay to feel sad. I suppose so. I guess I am sad to think about leaving, transitioning to the next part of my life. To feel not just that I've completed school, but also that I've outgrown it, maybe. Does that make any sense? Maybe there's a hint of nostalgia. It's strange to have such wonderful friends here, but to feel rather alone at the same time. At least at this time. We have a kala, a kind of holiday, off twice per rotation. A rotation is about 1.5 years of your time, since our planet is larger and spaced further away from our sun. Each kala is about 36 days. I can't be sure, really. I've read about your world is all, studied it in class. But world studies is not exactly a strong suit of mine. And yet, for the moment, I'm not feeling like anything is my strong suit. Not that I'm not a decent student, just that, maybe when considering moving from a schooling environment to life as an adult, it's hard for me to know what I'm good at that is also useful. My friends are busy making the most of their kalas, pursuing their interests and strengths, as if they know exactly what they'll be doing when school ends, I guess. I feel like everything is changing already and I'm not ready for it. And I see others who are giddy with excitement. Something new. And I'm excited too, maybe. I mean, I think I am. Or, will be. After this. Kala, our schedules will be different. Less time in classes. More breaks. But not just for rest and a holiday, but instead, so we can work and try out more jobs. We can try out life as a what, though? Just an adult? What is it I want to do? The job options are not as exciting as you might expect, by the way. Magic is great, even in the subtle reality of it, but it doesn't mean that food doesn't still need to be grown, and water filtered, and teachers and caregivers are needed. Some cleaning and building options also. Healers are not very common, and not something I feel inclined to do. People don't get sick here unless they're unhappy. So healers are a bit more like therapists, maybe. Well respected, sure, but I wouldn't be up for it myself. Maybe the problem is that what I'm meant to do isn't on the prescribed list. What am I wanting? What am I called to do? What are you passionate about? I'm passionate about new things, new ways of living. I'm passionate about the symbiotic relationships between the plants we grow. But that doesn't mean I want to work with food supply. I was a harvester in my last life. We don't keep many memories from the life before, and none from the one before that. Assuming there is one, or more. But I do remember my work from my last life, and I remember enjoying that. What is it that you enjoyed about it? I guess harvesting a galpe, which is most comparable to wheat, I suppose, and harvesting it was just repetitive, really. But it was peaceful outside and waking up knowing what I would be going to do. It was nice talking to the friends I worked with. I liked that I knew how to do it, and I knew I was helping society. I think it boils down to those things. So go find a way to help society in this life. Yeah, but how? Seems like all the jobs would help society. You are focused on picking a generic job title, and this is reasonable because this is what you have been taught to do. But, although this way of decision-making can prove effective for many, for you, it has caused an obstacle instead. It is hard to see the forest through all those trees. Right. So, what? You're not talking now? I can't see the forest through the trees. Suggests that I'm where I want to be. Or maybe I'm focusing on too specific things and missing the big picture. Maybe even focused on the wrong things, like trying to pick a generic job from a list. I think my nerves are an issue also. As if with this most recent Kala a deadline has been set. One rotation until decision time. Bit ominous. And also it feels like this is it. Like I pick something and I'm stuck there for the rest of my life. When I'm not. Not really. Job changes aren't very common, to be fair. It's much more efficient for society not to have people shifting around a whole lot. And the reality is, one job is not all so different from another. The living situation is most likely still the same, and the community is the same from one job to the next. Usually, a job is one of the last things to consider adjusting if the person isn't content. So what does this mean then? Don't worry too much. You are loved. Thank you, Al-Hajj. I think I feel passionate about mattering. I feel like I should be picking something that's iconic or something to help me feel worthy somehow. And yet, who's to say I'm not worthy? What does it even mean to be worthy? I deem myself worthy. Yes. There. Yes, I did it. Worthy for waking up this morning. Worthy just for being here. Worthy for learning, and for writing here to understand. And in this way, maybe I need to not decide. But for now, just do what seems interesting. And I can write about the experiences. There are still classes to take. Those might give me some ideas also. And my friends are busy chasing all sorts of dreams. I can join in, and then I can see how it appeals to them, and maybe it will appeal to me too. And maybe not. But it'd still be new and fun and interesting. I think there is meaning in that. Never mind the job title, but to be with my friends, and to watch them find their callings. I feel passionate about that. Passionate about not being alone. And maybe in this way, some far-off job decision isn't as important as it seems. I think that it's easy to romanticize life and tell the story of it in a summary. Where you went and what you did. But that doesn't tell you anything about the real story, or how the person grew, or what they learned. And in this way you can say, they moved to Tylenlorp, and worked as a uniform tailor, and saved 10,000 Amgars, before losing 8,000 and moved to the smaller village of Taekwondo, and adjusting their work to focus solely on student uniforms. That probably sounds like nothing but gibberish here. Sigh. I think I'm feeling better now, though, anyway. I think it's easy for me to want to have a successful life, so that my life summary might seem epic and impressive when it's not what's most important. It's like focusing on what I do rather than how I do it, with love and adventure and an open mind. I wonder if others are hungry for this kind of success thing, same as me. My appetite is so insatiable for it at times. And other times, my desire for success creates a barrier to doing anything at all because it's hard to start when I can't be sure if it's good enough for what I'm desiring in this little special life. One of many lives. Each is a little better than the one before. And as such, I should focus more on learning and enjoying my time. I need to be more aware of this success thing. And then I can break down the good enough walls and instead just live more. I just need to go live, maybe. And learn, explore, and love. All those things that are the most important story. Those things are the story. I feel a little bit sad. Feel like I've had to change directions a bit. Sad for the mistaken thinking from before? I can't be sure. I think there is something inherently sad about life. I've learned something writing here today, which is good, but there's also that slight sense of nostalgia, because even though it was a challenge to overcome, it was enjoyable. And that seems strange almost because I didn't even notice. I got wrapped up in understanding, and it felt like I was lost in my writing. And now I guess I'm sad the experience has ended. That's a funny thing, isn't it? Maybe that's passion. Yeah, maybe. And yet, what kind of work would this lead me to? What benefit to society would it offer? You can't know what you can't know. Ain't that the truth? So, maybe I can't know what my job will be, or how amazingly incredible my life will be, or what I need to do to make it so. But I do know what I like, but I can focus on being more aware of when I feel passionate, focused, and happy. And if I'm not feeling content, I can think about what I know, rather than what I don't know. And I know that I can write to understand, or try something new, or do something I know I love, or spend time with friends. And in this way, I can rekindle my passion for life and have the strength to keep going. Chapter 2. It's a pretty day. The sunrise is pink and hopeful. I feel satiated and content, which seems weird to me because I don't feel drawn to do much. Then don't do much. Is that okay? Why wouldn't it be? I don't know. Just that it doesn't seem like that's okay. Everyone else is rushing around so much, and I feel a bit alarmed just watching them. I guess I don't entirely understand why they don't see how beautiful the sunrise is today. There's a chitter of a bird in the distant tree. It's a nice feeling. It's okay to rest. Sometimes it seems like the world has forgotten that. I haven't thought more about the job predicament, but it's nice to not think about it. Maybe that's the secret to life. Not worry too much and deal with things as they come. In moderation, of course. I thought about explaining the magic here, and I will at some point, but also, I'm not sure I'm able to. Because so much of life, and the world, all worlds can't be conveyed with words alone. It's like the euphoric feeling you get the moment you jump from a dive spot on the bluff into the deep, clear water below. Like a weight is lifted, and there's nothing but the beads of energy racing through you, making your skin and hands tingle magnificently. That feeling of being so alive, and that there's only that moment and the feeling. Worrying and complaining pale so much in comparison to something like that. Something that for me, right now, is only a distant memory. I don't know why that is so funny, just that the feeling is so vivid. It's a nice thing to laugh. It was such a perfect, warm day. The Sarum, which is our warmest season, seems so far away right now. Right now when the days are so dark. Just thinking of that feeling of warmth embracing my skin. Sigh. Sorry. It must seem like I'm rambling, but I'm not really. I don't mean to be. But more to the point, this is a part of the magic, just in a small way. How you feel and how you see the world. Magnificent with all its color and warmth and ethereal sense. And in this way, it's not that the magic is subtle, but rather starts in a small way, just from the depths of the mind with a kind of acceptance. To trust a force like the magic without entirely being able to understand it, and I guess with many things in life, you can't understand it unless you first trust it. So many things in life are a kind of catch-22. For example, tired from being away from your home dwelling, but you need to go back to the dwelling before you can rest. Meaning you're tired now, but you have to put forth more energy before you can get what you need to rest. This is a small and specific example, but perhaps you can see how this can cause a snag in progress. Or maybe you're working on an epic art project and you can't know if others will love it until you've finished it. And if there was some way of knowing that they will love it before ever putting pencil to paper, then perhaps you'd have all the motivation you'd need to create your masterpiece. Except that you can't know it'll be loved and appreciated until after you've finished the work. These kinds of things create potential snags and blocks in progress. But the magic is, in part, being more aware of that kind of thing. And when confronted with it, to be aware and not feel like it can't be done, but instead maybe remember that rush from the dive into the clear water below on the hottest day of the year. and maybe the niceness of that. That feeling of being alive is motivation enough to create the project you are meant to create. Maybe in part because you have something to share, something worth sharing. And in this way, maybe the feedback that you may or may not get from the project is not as important. And in this way, we can't overcome the progress snags created by life's catch-22s. The magic is about rearranging our brains so we can see things like this. And then the magic. The magic is far beyond this. Maybe you start to see a bit why I'm not sure if I'll be able to explain it adequately. Because even such a tiny part, such as was mentioned above, is so detailed and beyond words, and the facets of it are incredible. Honestly incredible, but also potentially infinite. So many of the basics are an ingrained part of the culture of my world, part of how we are raised and how we live, vastly different than Earth. And yet, it's not like there's wrong or right. Not really. You and I are the same. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Because I am loved, and you are loved just the same. And, not to sound sappy, but you can accomplish whatever it is you want to. But it is better that it helps others and not hurts them. That's part of the magic. It's like this feeling you get at the ends of your fingertips. And energy. A pulling energy. To give, knowing you will also receive. For right now, it's easier to start by thinking about how the sun feels so warm on your lifted hands, and how it feels to stretch your arms slowly up over your head, to breathe fully, and feel your body's response. Feel how it tingles in response to the delivery of oxygen. How worries, stress, and all other things else fall away for a while, and it just is. It is right now. It feels like you could be carried lightly through the air on the sound of soft music. Sigh. I'm not doing this justice at all. And yet, I won't give up. I feel called to it. I can't not pursue this. I must keep going. I can feel that, but I don't understand why or where it's going. But so much of the time, that's how the magic works. I have to trust it and follow it. And yet, even after so many years of study, that's such a hard thing to do right now. I think because my friends are off working towards their jobs and, as I mentioned before, feeling the pressure of that decision for myself. And yet, as I was told, it's this feeling that I need to focus on and understand. I need to not get stuck trying to select one generic job title from a list of 300. Sometimes in life, you just have to leap. Maybe it's not so different from jumping off that dive and landing into the water. That feeling of being alive and not knowing exactly how I will land. I guess this is where I'm at. On the ledge and feeling where I'm needing to go. Before the jump, and it's not such a bad place to be. To feel solid ground beneath my feet. Nice to feel safe. Like this is okay. I can stay here for a moment. Just that I can't stay here indefinitely. Why not? Because there's more to life. There's more to my life. And in this way, I have to keep going. Even if I feel uncertainty and fear. Even if my friends have gone away different from me. I suppose if there is anything we desire in life, it means facing the unknown and overcoming fear. Because if we don't have it now, by definition, it's unknown. It probably seems like an obvious statement, but a lot of the elements of the magic could seem basic. And yet, that doesn't mean they're not meaningful and useful. There are obvious things that we've maybe never thought to think about before. I have to go back inside now. It's a weird thing, but I don't entirely know you, but I feel so much love for you. I feel connected. And I so strongly want the best for you. For you to be happy. For you to be alive. And to remember what it feels like to be alive. I feel such passion for this. But it's a strange thing because it's not what I was taught a job and adulthood could be. Chapter 3. Today is a good day, I'm thinking, even if it doesn't seem that way sometimes. The Kala, our holiday from school and work, is coming to an end now. I spent most of the day wandering the school grounds, doing nothing. It's not nothing. All right then. Either way, it was nice. Just wondering. The school is made up of many organic buildings made out of something similar to the cob you have in your world. But despite the seemingly simple building materials, the structures are incredible. Large, yet rounded, and many are multiple stories high. The civilization and its buildings blend like one into the surrounding nature, which I suppose is best described as tropical. The animals are different also. Six-legged mammals are not an unusual thing here, and yet it doesn't seem relevant. The fruit is incredible, though. Sigh. Sorry. Listen to me rambling. The school is secluded from the rest of the population. There are two, cities, I guess you might call them. They are harmonious for the most part, but our styles and cultures are different. And yet there's space enough between us, and abundance, and they can make some things easier than us, and vice versa. So it's in both civilizations' best interest to remain harmonious. I'd never really thought there was any other way to be before school here, when we learned about other worlds and races. I feel like there's something more to be said here, and yet I'm not sure what it is. Maybe just that I don't fully understand, so I can't know what to be saying other than, this is how it is here, and it's nice. I think it works because, though everything is one, there are two parts. Like, take happiness. How would you know what happiness is if you'd never felt sadness? What is truth if there isn't also false, or white if there isn't also black? So I guess in this way, they are just the other part of the whole, the balance to the universal equation. It's an asset to have them. They live in a much colder and land-based climate, and if something is scarce here, like some kind of food, for example, the other civilization serves as a kind of safety net, same as we are for them. It was different walking today, passing outdoor study areas and remembering times before evaluations. Evaluations are, well, they're not really like the tests you might take. Instead, they're not at a set time, but when we want to take them, when we feel ready. This way we can advance at our own speed, and there is more self-study motivation. But instructors are there when we need them. My friends and I all chose to sit our evaluations together. It's not uncommon. Better to go through it together for some. To have a group to study with. I tend to learn better that way. But it was different today walking past those locations alone. And remember how, despite our stress, we would laugh and take breaks to play Chala. It's a game with 50 cards, with 5 sets of different colors numbered 1 to 10. For the game, all the cards are dealt between those playing, and we take turns trying to get rid of our cards first. The first person playing 1s, and the second person 2s, etc. But if your turn is 3 and you don't have any, you must lay down at least 1 card anyway, and hope the others won't call you on it. If they do, and you didn't put down what you said you did, then you must take the whole discard pile. And if they call you on it when you're being honest, then they must take it instead. Sigh. Sorry, that was random. But it was fun. That's all. Fun is important. Walking and remembering. And thinking about how I've been feeling like my friends and I are more separated now, as compared to how we were. And how as time passes, will that trend continue? You can't know what you can't know. Yeah. Never heard that one before. But also, surely I have a say in how close I remain with my friends, too. I think it's partly the effect of coming to school here. It's an elite school, mind you. Aren't we special? And yet, if I was special, maybe then I wouldn't be feeling so lost. That said, who's to say you and I are not special? Whatever special is. Maybe we should be the stars of the show, at least the stars of our own lives. Outwardly, I'm well aware that we're all the same. And to come to this school isn't special necessarily, but just different. Not better or worse, like most things. It's more of a finishing school, you might say. Many in this life might just be food harvesters, just as I was last life. And for that, they don't need schooling until the age of 17. Not really. Instead, they need understanding, and they need to know how to manage their homes and prepare their food. They need to know about how things work and why they work this way. Granted, they could do more education if that's what they're desiring. And just because they're here, it doesn't mean they won't take a simpler job. There's no rule regarding that. The system is created in a way that supports the basic understanding that if residents can do what they want, and act in their own best interest, then it'll benefit society. And individuals do want to help society, at least in some small way in their lifetime, because that is their purpose. Anyway, this school is set away from our city, for want of a better word, really. This was done intentionally. Allow students to live away from family for a time. Living here provides autonomy. It's like a practice for living independently, and that is needed for most that come here, those who will work in management or adjusting systems, to be self-sufficient. There's something similar for those who don't attend this school, but it's not a school. It's been a year since I've been home. We're allowed to visit during Kalas. There's an animal, a little bit like a donkey from your world, but it's much more slender and elegant, I suppose, is the best way to describe them. They're very friendly and curious. We don't ride them like horseback. They'd be too small for that, I think, other than young ones. But teams of 4 and sometimes more are used to pull beautiful carriages. They're used to help with agriculture as well. I think about my younger sister, who's probably riding back to school in one now to make it in time for the new term. She's 4 years younger. I haven't been back home since my mother passed away a rotation ago. I think that's about 1.5 years your time, maybe. I'm not sure why I haven't been. I should have gone. I don't know. I think I fear to return and find that it's somehow not the same. I suppose that's denial. I didn't plan to mention that. It's not something I'm proud of. And there's been so much change here also. Maybe it's understandable. I know that all things are one, and that though my mother has passed from the physical world, it doesn't mean she's gone. Just that she's here in a different way. And I know this is the truth of it. And yet, I haven't gone. I don't know. I guess in life there are always going to be things that we need to face. I won't have another chance until the next holiday. I think about my sister traveling alone. We'd always gone together before that. Everyone has their problems to overcome. Nothing is ever just going to be perfect. And if it was, we'd probably be so bored. I suppose if I didn't have challenges to overcome, I wouldn't have the opportunities to learn and grow. So, I suppose it's okay for now. It's good to be okay, even when challenging things happen. It's okay to be sad. Thank you. It's mostly just feeling quiet, I think. I feel like by writing this here, I'm seeing it as if it isn't me, and I can just see it for how it is, and it is sad, but also I'm just kind of seeing it and feeling quiet, as if that will help me to understand. Understand what? Maybe what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? Feeling like maybe I, messed up isn't the right term really, but I could have done better. I could have been there for my family if I was stronger, and yet I wasn't. So it wasn't a mistake, just that I feel sad I wasn't able to be there for them. I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. But maybe I'll be better prepared in the future when something like that happens again. In this way, I can be aware of this and work to do better. I suppose that's life. Work to understand, then work to do better. It's a lot of work. And yet, it's kind of beautiful too. Beautiful like the sea on a cloudy day. I think I've been apologizing more than I should be. But I feel like what I wrote here was what I needed to write. And yet, I wonder if I've rambled too much. And I wonder also if others would care to be reading this. And yet, that's another thing I can't know. And maybe that it helps me and offers me understanding or relief is enough. Between you and me, though, I'd like to think that others might be interested also. Maybe then I wouldn't feel so alone. Maybe then others would understand. Who I am, maybe. Who I mean to be. You are loved. Stay strong. Chapter 4. Hello, friend. I don't want to work today. I want to rest here by this window on a rainy day and write to you. Write to you about nothing at all, maybe except about life, and how grateful I am for the life that I have. Why shouldn't I want to work, though? 2 new books have been assigned. I should be reading them and outlining them, breaking them down into summaries and reviewing them. I wouldn't want to fall behind. And I truly wouldn't want that. And yet, is it right to force myself to be doing it? The reality is, I can set the test at a later time. So what does it even mean to fall behind? And yet it seems it does matter, at least in some subconscious way. It was nice being back at classes. Only one today in the late morning. General principles, and it is interesting, but also not so much. The room is beautiful, though. The south wall is entirely made of windows and plants just on the inside. And even with the rain, the light was breathtaking. I was perhaps paying more attention to that than my instructor reviewing the plans for the semester, which is important, and I can review later, surely, but gosh, that light. I kept looking at my neighbors with eyes of wonder. I don't understand why they weren't seeing what I was seeing and feeling. They were straight-backed and focused on the lesson, as they should have been, and I should have been, and should be now, reading the first chapters. I'm feeling like I'm changing somehow. It's as if I'm much more distractible now, distracted by extraordinary things granted. And I think I should let myself appreciate and absorb them. But I can't be sure where to place the line between working hard and staying diligent and time spent enamored by the mundane, basking in the feeling of elation. Ignite your mind, body, and soul. It's like the feeling of a cool body soaking in the heat of a summer day when time moves slowly and the air is still. There I go again. Rein it in, Eva. Oh. But in other news, I had an idea. I feel unexpectedly excited about it. Incidentally, I've made plans to feel unexpectedly excited more often. It's a lovely feeling. I wonder when the last time you felt excited was. I wonder a lot about you. I feel like I've known you for years somehow. I wonder about your goals, and where and how you live. I guess life would be rather different compared to my world. I hope you're doing okay despite any potential hardship. My actual idea and excitement for it seem a bit, not very relevant now. You can't not tell them now. Yeah, that's reasonable, really. I am excited about it. Just that I think it might seem underwhelming. A bit. Okay, here goes. I'm thinking of being an instructor. I think. Maybe. I think it would be nice, actually. And I could stay here longer, and the city is nice also, but here, it's quiet at night. And I love to sit outside when it's warmer and watch the breeze brush through the fields. And like today, sitting in a study room on a window seat while the rain staccatos against the glass. And there are other places still to discover, and new buildings being built that I can have some part in, maybe. I like the idea of being the plant magic instructor. The classes are in a massive geodome. There are a couple of areas that are just garden spaces, with some benches and... My words don't do it justice one bit, but it's designed to perfection, and all the textures of the plants and wood and metals, and the color and vibrancy, even in our coldest season. There are other areas for lecture classes and a space reserved for student practice, where we grow our plants and look after them. The emphasis is on the magic of intention. It's odd, I guess, because I'm not great with plants specifically. I do well with the magic of intention, which you can probably figure out, but which I'll explain more later. I think it's not about being a teacher specifically, or that kind of teacher, but the life it offers. That I would have time to myself still, and this way I can still write and figure out whatever it is I'm meant to be figuring out, because surely there must be some reason I'm drawn to be doing this. I want to stay at this school. That was such a revelation. Why wouldn't I have known that before? I feel like with the job title of an instructor, it's not that I'm called to it at all, but rather I think about it and I think, yeah, maybe. As if, yeah, that could work. And with others, I just rule them out generally. I think that for so long I was looking for the right job. What would be good enough for my life? As if it had to be some perfect, shiny, respectable something that would fit this image in my head. And it's good that I want to do well. But with this approach, I could have considered every job that's even possible, and it wouldn't have been perfect. It wouldn't have fit into this shiny dream of good enough. And with the job of instructor, it's not that shiny golden light of a job, but at the same time it fits, and it can be me, and the things that accompany the job, such as a location I love, a flexible schedule, some time available to write or to keep learning, gives me the sense that I can have a job like that and have more beyond it also. The freedom that comes with a profession would offer me time to do what I'm needing to do, which is, I don't know yet, you tell me, or maybe don't, because knowing exactly where I'm going and what my future is would make everything less exciting. What's life without a mystery to be solved? But if I had to guess, I'd like to write more in the future. I have to write really. Here, everywhere, a rambling mess of words that I can't get out fast enough. And I don't know why. I think this is what passion is. I never recognized that before. I wonder if it's like that for others. I wonder what they are passionate about. I wonder if it feels like this, like the rush of 1,000 bright memories flashed through your mind in the space of a heartbeat. My feet tingle with the sensation. I am glad to be alive. I hope you are also, even if you have been through challenges. I'm glad you are here. I'm glad that I'm not alone anymore. I'll tell you all about the magic of intention if you want. Just let me know, maybe. All that and all the other magic also. It's important. I don't understand why or how just yet, but I can feel that it is. You are a loved friend. May today bring the joy of 1,000 bright memories and a smile as cherished as the nicest day of the year. Chapter 5. The Principles of the Magic of Intention. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to practice my teacher's voice and pretend to be professional, and you can maybe nod your head encouragingly now and again. Then again, who am I kidding? I'm about as unprofessional as they come. Rather seems like professionalism would be a mask, and that's not who I am, really. I'm just me. That's all. And surely I can work and do something I find enjoyable without needing to put on a mask that suggests I have some idea of what I'm doing. Really, in life, everyone is trying to figure things out through trial and error. I think this relates to intention, honestly. I like the idea of it more than nearly all other forms of magic. I like that it's simple, but powerful. I like that it's easy to underestimate. The best example is when making food. Doing anything really, but to make food. Let's say we're making tea. Jum plabla klapla jahum bapla. Oh, you don't chant when making tea? Okay, I'll resist. What's life without a challenge? To make the tea with intention, we might think of those going to drink it, and as such we want the tea to be nourishing and refreshing, something that will bring warmth and happiness. And in this way, we might make it slow and be focused on the task at hand, and what we're mentally putting into the beverage. Though thoughts are not something we can see, at least in most worlds, they are real things. Just as real as a chair, or, a ukulele. The thoughts and intentions cause a physical change to the tea, as if the frequency of our intention gets embedded. This magic can be expanded in other ways. Before starting a task, we might use it to consider how the task will go, or, more specifically, how we ideally want it to go. I must say I don't feel much like a natural teacher. Perhaps in large part because I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I've been studying about your world more. I'm such a stalker. I'm determined to use words as they're relevant to your world. I think my world is interesting, and yet, do others? And it seems like it would get confusing to keep going on about rotations instead of years and so forth. Only a rotation here is more like a year and 3/4. I'm not feeling like myself today. I feel like my brain is attempting to turn a rather sharp corner, and I can't be sure if that's even the right thing to be doing. It's good I go to classes. I do like the classes. I'm feeling a bit like a goody two-shoes, maybe, in large part because of the world I was born into and what I was taught when I was young. But it leaves me feeling like I follow the rules and did and do as I'm told, as if... I'm not sure, really. I think it's like going on a train ride. You get in and secure yourself inside, and off it goes. And I think I thought that all of life was like sitting in that train car. As if it was going someplace specific to me. And now, I guess it's stopping. Now suddenly I'm supposed to know and desire some specific kind of work I want to pursue. I'm meant to know what direction to be going in when I was just in the train car being pulled along all serenely. And this abrupt change wasn't in the rule book. They want me to suddenly make decisions. And the first decision is going to affect the rest of my life. No pressure. But you did fine in your last life. Last life there was a harvesting shortage, and I could harvest, so I went and harvested. It was just logical. Perhaps in my last life I stayed on the train. I just went where life took me. There's nothing wrong with that. But now that I'm aware, how do I decide? Any decision is better than no decision. I suppose so. In that case, I should just commit to being an instructor. Just because I'm not good at it now doesn't mean I won't be. I wonder if others feel this way also. I wonder what occupations they are pursuing. I think I could talk more about the magic of intention, but I'm just not feeling it for the moment. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's somehow not what I'm meant to be writing about. And yet, if that's the case, what am I meant to be talking about? I think that when writing, it's nice and euphoric to have a breakthrough. And yet today isn't a breakthrough kind of day, maybe. Back to my classes and back to everyday life. And it's fine. It's okay. And I'm grateful to still be able to have the time to write. And in this way, I think what I'm meant to be writing about today is how even though we maybe can't visually see progress every day, it doesn't mean that there's not a lot to be grateful for. It doesn't mean there isn't progress, at the very least internally. It's good that we keep going, and for my part, I think it's okay. Dealing with some indecision still, but I am understanding more, and I am grateful for today, even though in some ways it doesn't seem as euphoric as other days. And yet, I will keep going. I want to keep going. I'm glad to be alive. And maybe in this way, I can be reminded of the things I do love. That feeling I had diving into the deep water. It's not a bad day by any means. Rather, it just sort of is as it is. And I guess I feel a bit stagnant because I have this direction and where to go from here. Before you go anywhere, you must first make a decision. Maybe before I make a decision, I need to not be afraid of making a decision. I think that might be what this boils down to a bit. And in this way, I need to stand up straight and move forward into the unknown. The only failure is not trying. Then, I have to try. My biggest fear isn't the unknown, or making a wrong decision, but rather I fear living an unlived life. So, perhaps in this way my direction and decision is surmountable, because I can't not try. Chapter 6. Hello, friend. It's been a while, a long while. I spent nearly a month, by your time, living as a teacher, and it was amazing. But also, is it right for me? I can't know, really. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. It was fun to try. And now for my next job trial, I can be a food systems manager. Between you and me, I think it's a terrible job option for me. But my good friend, Halro, is excited to pursue a career like that, and I'm excited to be able to do that with him. If nothing else, it'll be interesting, and a nice change of pace. I've had some bad news about the instructor's job direction. There aren't any positions available. I checked in the primary school also. The school students attend before this one, and same thing. The official I talked to mentioned that instructors usually do a few years of work in a related field first. So in this way, I'm thinking, maybe it'll work out after all. And yet, even if it doesn't, it's okay too. I'm happy just to be alive. I unexpectedly found something that's important. For so long, I was focused on finding a job title. What work am I going to be doing? As if that was most important, and as if that somehow defines who I am. But really, I understand now that it's less about my job and what I do, and more about how I do it. My intention. Who am I wanting to be? Not just an instructor, or any other job title, but rather someone who is kind and loving, someone who is not afraid to try, someone who's not afraid to get it wrong. I suppose in this way. I wanted a job title because I was afraid of not knowing. I wanted it because I was fearful of not having some label like that, as if I could use it as a security blanket. I'm not lost honest. See, I have this job title, a title that may or may not even work out for me, as I discovered. I understand better now what Al-Hajj was communicating with me so long ago, that what's most important is today. Right now, seeing all I have and who I am. And in this way, I've been able to spend more time with my friends. We can study together and make new memories. Enjoy the time we have left. For so long, I felt like they'd gone off in their own directions, as if they left me behind. But really, maybe it was me who left them. In large part because of my fear revolving around not knowing which direction I was meant to take. And yet, they're feeling just the same about the job decision. Hence why they are so busy trying out different vocations. I feel a lot of gratitude. That even though I don't know how life will turn out for me, it doesn't mean I can't be happy and content. And life wouldn't be even half as interesting if we knew how it ended. What's the fun in that? I've made plans to return home after this year. My father has agreed to have me work with him in his restaurant. And I am grateful to be able to be reunited with him again. And I can be of service in this way. There will be time to write more, and in a year or two. I think I will still pursue that life as an instructor. Mostly because it sounds fun. I look forward to coming back here. It will be such a hard thing to pack my bags after this last job trial. But it helps to know that this won't be my last time here. If nothing else, I can still revisit the glorious memories anytime I'd like. Perhaps I wanted a job title and direction, and in many ways I did get those things, just not entirely in the way I thought. But more importantly, I've been reminded of those things that I need. Those cherished moments with loved ones, and how wonderful it feels to be alive. I'm reminded of how much I have to be grateful for. And in this way, I know that whatever life may throw my way, I will keep going. I will keep going because that is who I am. I'm not sure when I'll write next. I know I will write at some point just that. It might be a while. I have this sense that there are things I'm meant to write about. But at the moment, I can't be sure what they are. It's been a pleasure writing here. I feel such fondness towards you. I wish I had answers to give you about life or decisions. But it seems like we just have to go and try and take things as they come and make the most of it. Until we meet again, maybe your days be filled with warmth and joy. Yours sincerely, Eva. Perfect imperfection. Dear friend, it's been over a year since I've written. My life is nice. I feel humbled. I'm not sure why I say that. I think because before, in school, I looked at my life, this life like a massive blank canvas, and I placed this expectation on myself to paint the perfect piece of art, without knowing what a perfect piece of art would be. It feels like a long time ago when I was at school stressing about where I would go in my life, and I look back on it fondly. I think I feel humbled because I feel contentment. I feel content and even happy even though my life is very simple, mostly waiting tables and helping my dad with the business. But that said, I feel like it was the right thing to do. It feels right. And I can't say why, but this seems important. This instinctive feeling seems more important than all the thoughts and all the expectation. It's like it defies logic. In this way, I think back to my challenge of figuring out direction in my life. And I do believe in free will. I do believe that my actions will impact my life. But recently I've started to feel like maybe there is both fate and free will. Like maybe some things are meant to be, and we don't know how we will get there. And in this way, maybe that feels right instinct is what's meant to guide us towards where we're meant to go. This isn't going at all as I had planned. Maybe like life, I had planned for it to be a beautiful, perfect picture. But when the time comes, in the moment, I feel like I just have to slap some paint on and see how it looks, see what happens. And in this way, I've gained new understanding that life isn't about accomplishments or perfection or the end result, but rather having fun, pursuing what seems interesting. I can't know what I can't know. So trying to figure that out leaves me running in circles. And now instead, I can help my dad because it's nice to help him. And never mind the work or the finished painting, it feels important that I help my dad. And in this way, the other things I had stressed about and worried about seem less significant. It's nice that I'm back in the city and I can meet up with my friends regularly. That feels important to me too. We're all transitioning out of school, and it's nice to share that with them. I'm going to return to the school and teach at some point. Just not yet. I feel like I'll know when the time is right, and it's not right yet. And that's okay. As for the life painting, there's still time for me to adjust it and make it into what I want it to be. But I recognize now that I need to follow the clues and my instinct to figure out what that is. Furthermore, I'm starting to see now that there doesn't have to be only one painting. Or for me, just one book maybe, or one job, but instead, as many as I'd like. I can choose to start a new chapter and new life within this life whenever I want, or perhaps whenever I need. And I hold the power to make each chapter significant. So in this way, I guess I've found not just understanding, but also acceptance. Maybe that's a humbling experience, recognizing that I don't have to be perfect with amazing accomplishments to be enough, worthy, happy, content. I don't have to be perfect to be loved. I feel like these ideas are some core understanding, some basic piece that we were meant to have from the start. And sadly, I didn't have it before now. But that said, I'm glad I have it now. And I'm glad also that I have the perspective created by not knowing. I value this perspective. It makes the challenges I faced when I was trying to figure out what I needed to do to not just be perfect, but to be good enough, worthwhile. It also helps me to see others in a new light. I can't know what their life is like, but I'm seeing more that we all have our own puzzles to solve, and there's something beautiful about that. Love always, Eva. This work is copyrighted material, all rights reserved.